A few months ago, I suffered from this very strange and random 3-day fever. Not sure of what to do with myself, I decided to finally start Twin Peaks, unaware of the fact that this show was going to be a whole fever dream in and of itself. But after getting through a handful of episodes, I was locked in. Twin Peaks perfectly fits into the category of eerie yet oddly comforting media. A mysterious murder in a strange small town, cozy American diners, seemingly supernatural weird things happen. There's the most random of side plots. Kind of what Riverdale tried to do. I want to keep this video spoiler free, so I'm not going to get too deep into the plot here. Instead, I'm going to highlight the, in my opinion, most important food moments from season 1 and season 2 and try my best to replicate them at home. Also, thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring these ideas. The food in Twin Peaks massively contributes to the show's whimsy and its comfort factor, and there really isn't a character more into comfort food than our main boy, Dale Cooper.
2 more pieces of this incredible pie.
Okay.
Man, oh man, you must have the metabolism of a bumblebee.
Although I would argue he favors his coffee over anything.
DJ Cooper loves coffee. Audrey.
Yes, for the making of this video, I specifically bought this adorable retro coffee machine. It is so small, you need tiny filters for it, and technically you're supposed to wet them first before using, which I'm doing here, but I would normally skip this step. I'm going for strong coffee here, so I'm adding a bit more of the grounds than I normally would. And then I'm adding just enough water for about a cup. And there we go. No sugar, no milk, no cream, and steaming hot. I'm really not a black coffee girl myself, although in recent years I've definitely leveled up when it comes to the intensity of coffee that I need. I only started drinking it like 3-4 years ago. Now I'm at the point where I would really enjoy this if there was just like a drop of milk. There is one more thing to be added to the coffee.
Fellas, don't drink that coffee. You'd never guess. There was a fish in the percolator.
I saw someone do this on TikTok, so I cannot take credit for this idea. I mean, I could have gone the extra mile and added some flaxseed oil for the fish flavor. I decided against that. According to this article by Eater, damn good coffee for Coop isn't really about how exactly the coffee was made, but to him it's more so about the wholesome interactions he's having when ordering a cup of coffee, the ritual of being in the present moment when you're drinking it. On to some actual food.
Agent Cooper here might want to try a slice of that pie.
Cherry pie?
Best in the Tri-Counties.
The Double R Diner that serves these delightful looking pies actually exists. In real life it's known as Tweety's Cafe. Unfortunately, their secret cherry pie recipe is, well, secret, but with the little information I could find about their pies, plus my own trial and error and my friends' reviews, I can confidently say that this is the best I could possibly come up with. Prepare the dough for the crust in advance. In a medium bowl, mix together the dry ingredients, flour, salt, and just a few spoonfuls of powdered sugar. Next, grab some cold, I repeat, cold vegan butter and cut it into cubes, which you're then going to transfer to a medium to large food processor. Add the dry ingredients to the butter in 2 to 3 stages, pulsing each time in between for just a few seconds. So you basically break up the butter even more and distribute it evenly in the flour. Next, add 1 spoon of the iced water at a time, meaning, again, blending in between for just a few seconds. Transfer everything to a floured surface, and then using your hands, you're going to quickly bring the dough together. When it comes to making pie dough, it's all about working fast in order to keep things cold. Once you've got a smooth ball of dough, wrap it up in some cling foil and place it into the fridge for at least 2 hours. Can honestly also be overnight if you want to break up the workload a little bit. Now onto the filling, which took me a couple tries to get right. If you're curious, my first attempt was way too jammy, and it was also strangely purple because I went a bit insane with the food coloring. I'd used jarred cherries here, which now I know don't give you the best texture. On top of that, I had made the mistake of serving the pie immediately after baking, so this was more like pie soup.
Okay, I think I need to have less filling, more dough, and have it like chilled before eating.
And so here is filling attempt number 2, which turned out so nicely. It has a way better texture and it's much more low effort. You simply just combine all the filling ingredients except for the butter, frozen cherries, granulated sugar, cornstarch, flour, salt, vanilla, cinnamon, a bit of orange zest, lemon juice, and if you wanted to, a drop or 2 of plant-based red food coloring. Now on to building the pie. Make sure your oven is preheating to 190 degrees Celsius. Cut the chilled pie dough into 2s, making sure that one half is slightly bigger than the other. The bigger one is for the bottom. That one you're gonna roll out first on a floured surface using a floured rolling pin, and use your pie tin as a guide for how large the sheet of dough should be. We're aiming for round and about 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch larger than the pie dish. I am using an aluminum disposable pie dish here, simply just to come closer to the Twin Peaks aesthetics, but in real life, I would recommend a reusable baking tin. Roll the dough carefully onto the rolling pin, like so, and then you're gonna re-roll it even more carefully, like on top of the pie dish. If something breaks, you can easily re-roll everything and try again. Maybe add a bit more flour to the surface then. Or if there's just little holes and imperfections, you can simply fix them with the scraps, just using your hands, smoothing things out. Yeah. Now dump in the filling. Add the extra bit of butter on top. Now we're rolling out the second, slightly smaller half on a floured cutting board this time. I was looking at this pie here in particular for inspiration. It doesn't come with an intricate lattice, just like a basic crisscross, which makes things so much easier for me. I wasn't a big fan of my first set of strips.
I feel like there's a lot of room for error when pie making, so that's good. Okay, let's go. 3.
In order to achieve this egg wash type of look, I brushed my pie with some soy cream. And just like they do at Tweety's Cafe, I sprinkled over some white sugar. Now bake the pie for 40 to 45 minutes. And then let it rest on the counter until it's down to room temperature, after which you're going to transfer it to the fridge for at least a couple hours. So many steps, but so worth it. And if you're not also filming every single step, this is actually done quite fast, I feel like.
This must be where pies go when they die. Harry, I got your note. Hawk, begin.
How would you like some fresh huckleberry pie?
would love a slice of pie.
Norma, slice of huckleberry pie, heated, vanilla ice cream on the side, coffee.
Coming right up.
Big Ed, how long you been in love with Norma?
Right, so we're making huckleberry pie next. So huckleberries are blueberry adjacent. Either way, I will be using regular blueberries because that's all I had available. Once again, we're starting with the dough, cutting the cold butter into cubes and giving that a quick pulse in the food processor. I'm combining salt, sugar, and flour separately. And then I'm transferring this mixture to the butter in 2 to 3 stages, pulsing in between. And then towards the end, also adding 1 to 2 spoonfuls of iced water, just to help everything come together. Now here the flour mixture didn't entirely fit into my machine, which is okay. I added and blended in what I could, and then I dumped the rest onto my surface to work everything in with my hands. Wrap it up and refrigerate for at least 2 hours. This time, cut the dough into equal halves, rolling out the first one for the bottom. And then carefully turning the dough over. Again, using a 9-inch pie dish. You don't have to grease it, by the way. There's enough butter in the dough. The filling here is very similar to the cherry one, except we're swapping orange zest for lemon zest and, well, frozen blueberries for the cherries. Once again, finish everything off by adding some butter cubes on top. Now instead of this being covered in strips, this pie is going to get a full cover. I was looking at this one here for inspiration, which I'm not sure this actually is blueberry flavored. But anyway, I incorporated these little flower or sun patterns. I'm also giving it just a little slit for the steam to escape. And there you go. Unfortunately, I forgot to add any sugar and cream at this point here, which then made the end result a lot paler. But anyway, this is the pie, once again, after it's been sitting in the fridge for overnight, actually. It was holding together really nicely. I also tried to follow Cooper's specific order, hot coffee on the side, of course, and he also wanted this to be reheated. I sadly couldn't find vegan vanilla ice cream anywhere. The closest thing I was able to purchase was hazelnut. But yeah, this was delicious. Highly recommend. Please try this. Moving on.
Short stack of griddle cakes, melted butter, maple syrup, lightly heated, slice of ham.
Nothing beats the taste sensation when maple syrup collides with ham.
Griddle cake, slice of ham.
Who killed Laura Palmer?
So I'm following my OG fluffy vegan pancake recipe here. I've shown how to make this on my channel millions of times, but you basically combine all the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients separately. Then you bring both together until you have a smooth pancake batter. Allow them to cook for 2 to 3 minutes per side. Now regarding the ham, I went for this plant-based replica that looked, smelled, and tasted so realistic it was freaky. I decided to cook the ham first in some melted vegan butter for about maybe 2 minutes per side. Also adding a drizzle of maple syrup just to give everything a nice glaze so it's not just random soggy deli meat. In the breakfast scene, we're only ever getting a pretty blurry shot of Cooper's meal. The pancakes are seemingly served with a single piece of lettuce, and I thought this might be a slice of orange. And just like he suggested, I am drizzling some melted butter and maple syrup over everything. Now, ham and maple pancakes is something that I don't think I would normally make for myself. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm the right target audience to judge this meal. Equally as important to the show as pies are donuts, I would say. Making my own seemed incredibly intimidating to me. I tried it once a few years ago and I hadn't yet had the courage to try it again, but a video on Twin Peaks foods wouldn't be complete without them. First, place the following ingredients in a small to medium saucepan: non-dairy milk, sugar, vanilla, applesauce, vegan butter, and a dash of nutmeg. Have the heat over medium to medium high and allow the sugar to dissolve and the butter to melt. Transfer this mixture to a large mixing bowl and allow everything to cool down to 45 degrees Celsius. Now, normally I would just use my finger as a thermometer, but today we're not taking any chances, so... Now, once this has cooled to lukewarm temperature, I would recommend to give it a quick little mix because the butter is just kind of awkwardly sitting on top here. Perhaps even test the temperature one more time, and then if it's alright, sprinkle atop the dry active yeast. Anyway, let everything sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. Combine the flour and the salt in the meantime, and then bring together the wet and the dry. Mix everything with a spatula, and then transfer this to a floured surface. Knead the dough for a good 5 to 8 minutes, or until it's no longer super sticky. You can help the dough out by adding a bit more flour here and there, not too much, and also make sure to butter or oil your hands as you go along. Allow the dough to rise for about 90 minutes, covered, someplace warm. Then I'm giving it another quick knead before rolling it out on a floured surface until it's about 1.5 centimeters in thickness. I don't have a donut cutter, and so I'm improvising by using a part of a mason jar lid and a little glass bottle. Make sure to re-roll the scraps. Let the shaped donuts sit and rise on 2 sheets of parchment paper for about 30 minutes. In the meantime, I'm gathering all the things for the toppings. First one is just going to be plain powdered sugar. The second one, melted chocolate. And then the third option is a simple glaze. Use a large, heavy Dutch oven sort of pot and fill it a bit over halfway with frying oil. And allow the oil to slowly heat until 175 to 180 degrees Celsius. As soon as you reach that temperature, start adding, I would say, 3 donuts at a time. Be careful of oil splashes, and just let them fry for 1 to 2 minutes per side, carefully flipping them. And that should do it. As long as the oil doesn't start smoking, you should be good. I'm also not sure I needed the plastic gloves here, although they visually reference the show for sure, because they're not proper heat-proof gloves. And now that I'm thinking about it, plastic melts, so this is kind of unsafe. After you cook the donuts, let them sit on some paper towels for like a minute or 2 to get rid of excess oil, and then add them straight into your topping bowl of choice. And here's where the gloves do make sense.
Is everything okay? There's extra jelly donuts for Agent Cooper.
I unfortunately don't have a syringe to fill anything. I also added some more cookie crumbs. Important to note is the fact that I didn't just want to make donuts for the sake of making donuts. I also wanted to recreate the iconic donut table. I happen to own this giant retro-looking office closet that made for a really fitting backdrop. And yeah, I am so happy with how these turned out, especially because I was scared to fail again, but it all worked out. Yeah, you just gotta pay extra attention to the yeast temperature, the oil temperature, and make sure you don't burn yourself. If you're wondering what to do with all these donuts, you can freeze them. My freezer had no space, so I put the donuts on my close friends, and they all really seemed to like them. So we did Cooper's breakfast earlier in the video, and so it only feels fair to replicate one of Harry's breakfasts as well. In season 2, episode 17, he's being served one of Norma's special breakfasts. I tried my best to figure out what's on this plate, but feel free to also put your guess in the comments. This on the left has to be hash browns, but kind of like deconstructed hash browns. First, I'm peeling 2 to 3 medium potatoes and then shredding them using a cheese grater. In an attempt to get rid of some of the potato starch, I'm transferring everything to a large mixing bowl together with a bit of salt and water, and I'm letting that sit for about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I quickly blended together all the ingredients for my omelet, which is based on silken tofu. I did a more in-depth recipe on this recently, but I'm basically carefully frying one side, and then instead of flipping it, I'm just adding a lid and letting everything steam for a few more minutes. Alright, back to the potatoes. You're supposed to squeeze out as much of the water as you possibly can here, and I'm doing a pretty poor job at that, whereas it's actually recommended to use like a cloth. You know, one of those that you make nut milks with. Anyway, I'm now transferring my semi-squeezed potato strips to a non-stick skillet that's been preheating to medium-high heat with some vegan butter and oil, and then I'm spreading the potato shreds out in one layer, and then I'm letting this crisp up for about 2 to 3 minutes before mixing everything and just repeating those steps until everything is cooked through. What's in here? I was thinking like a mini grilled cheese, but I'm not just using sliced cheese. Instead, I decided to go for plant-based brie or camembert to reference this moment where Benjamin Horne and I think this guy's his brother, right? Where they're obsessing over these giant baguettes with brie. I also cooked up some plant-based bacon, and last but not least, I included a little bit of hot sauce. Very delicious, very yummy selection. It is a little bit frustrating that I waited all day to record this intro just in time for a family of what feels like 6 to actively move in above me. So if you can hear any very jarring noises, I'm really sorry, but that will just have to be ambiance for now. Thank you so much for watching this video. This video took me weeks to make, also counting in the fact that I was sick for half of the month, but I am so happy with the way it turned out. I've never baked this many pies in 1 month. There was one pie that I made fairly recently, and that's a 3-berry pie, which is also mentioned in the show. I actually took it to a Twin Peaks themed Halloween-esque dinner. I feel like a lot of people are starting to watch Twin Peaks right now, or maybe that is just in my friend group, but either way, maybe this inspired you to start watching it. It can be a little confusing, not just because David Lynch's filming style is a bit strange to begin with, but also because there is so much content. Like, there is the season 1 and season 2, which are the original series, and then there's a prequel, which is a movie, and then there's also a 3rd season that came out in 2017. I don't think I mentioned it in the video, but I started watching Twin Peaks like beginning of this year. I watched the first episode and was like, okay, murder mystery, strange vibes, but I'm interested, I'm intrigued. And then I continued to watch the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th episode, and I kept being like, who are these people? What are these plot lines? I'm not understanding anything. But I kept telling myself that, like, this is David Lynch. You just have to kind of embrace the weirdness and sort of go along with it. And then I think the following day, I realized that I had watched episode 1 of season 1, but then moved on to episode 2, 3, 4, and 5 of season 2, which I feel like I didn't even spoil myself that much because I was so confused with what was happening. Like, I barely got used to the characters that were introduced in the first season. And then I went back to season 1 and realized that no, actually, this makes a lot of sense. And there is a real plot that we're following. But it's really funny to me. To help out my channel, I would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already, and to give this video a quick like, maybe share it with a friend, share it with your mom. Last but not least, here's a word from my sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace makes it really easy to create a beautiful website, connect to your audience, share your art, sell your products, sell your content, and more. Start by choosing from their wide range of professionally designed website templates to get started, or build your site from scratch if you prefer. Also, create a new logo while you're at it. Have your website quickly get discovered with their optimized SEO tools, meaning you will show up more often in people's search engines and therefore grow your brand and business the way you want. If you need extra help, don't hesitate to ask their 24/7 award-winning customer service. Start today. Go to squarespace.com/MeNowRome and use the code MeNowRome to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.